My name is Luis Escudero. Nice to meet you. I'm the owner here at El Patron Tequileria. My family, we've been in restaurants and hospitality for over like 12 years. Turn this down a little bit. Over 12 years of restaurant and hospitality experience. I eventually broke off from my father's restaurant after working there for 10 years, so I've been here for 2. And this was kind of part of my vision for growing the business and doing all sorts of different hospitality experiences and doing these tequila dinners. So thank you very much for joining us this evening.
To go back with like the aging, you mentioned there are some the extended age. So like with whiskeys or scotch, if you get like a 15, 20 year, 30 year, is there a mark, is there like, oh man, if you could get your hands on a 20 year, something like, is there that much of a pull with like whiskeys, or is there like a real sweet spot with tequila that, I mean, if you go over 6 years,
there really isn't a sweet spot, but like tequila's like, the first Extra Añejo was released in the 90s by Jose Cuervo, so the barrel aging process for tequila is very new.
Yeah.
And it also, like, for tequila making, your agave plants are taking about 8 to, let me turn this down again. Some of the songs like go up and down. So the agave takes about 8 years to fully mature. So you have the plant taking 8 years, and then putting it in a barrel. I have a tequila, I have a Patron on la Lique, which was aged for 7 years, grown for 8. It's like 15, 20 years to produce one bottle of these tequilas. So I think finally tequila production is entering that, like, again, the snobs drive the markets and they create the niche products. So eventually there's gonna be that demand for like a super vintage tequila.
Yeah.
In terms of sweet spot, I guess it again comes down to what the master distiller wants to create and how they want to influence the story of what they're making. But yeah, tequila hasn't gotten yet to those 15, 20-year vintages. The most vintage tequila we have is the Patron 10-year. So again, you're thinking about a 10-year age Patron. Now you have the agaves growing. Yeah, very long process.
So have you noticed, I know you and I talked a little bit about bourbon and whiskey upstairs a couple months ago. Have you noticed the regions and a lot of especially the younger distillers with all the craft stuff coming out, are they trying to emulate some of the stuff that like Scotland did with Japan and how they blended? Because I've noticed that like the Buffalo Trace, obviously, because of how large it is, Buffalo Trace and Corazon were the first to do the merged barrels. Like, is that something that's being talked about a lot?
So in the tequila world, I think the thing that's being talked about the most is finding how to be sustainable, because the production is so massive now that there's not enough turnover in agave. So I read an article on how Australia is becoming a big player in the harvesting of like agave plants. And I don't know if the CRT is ever gonna be able to like work through and change laws to be able to keep up with supply and demand. But yeah, there's different relationships, international relationships, and all these appellations of origins are actually set by trade agreements, internationally recognized trade agreements. So yeah, there's kind of like a symbiosis between different cultures, different countries, different methods. So I think one day we'll be able to see a more abstract approach, just so production is met, certain demands are met, but I hope not. Because again, that's what makes tequila so unique. But kind of like the exposure of all the celebrity exposure of tequilas has really made tequila the most popular distillate. In America, it's becoming, I don't know if it's already the most popular distillate, but it's surely picking up steam.
I have a question.
Yes.
If you add water, does that change the bouquet? Does that change the properties? Does it open up more?
All those different like techniques that you've experienced with bourbon or whiskey, Scotch drinking, dilution enhances. It opens up certain characteristics and qualities. I don't like to dilute my tequila. That's just how I'm just stubborn. I don't like to put on the rocks. I like to just kind of get the raw expression of from bottle to glass. But yes, sometimes dilution can create and enhance certain
I mean, even
components
just
of it.
like a drop or two.
Even a
like,
drop or,
change
yeah.
your profile. Yeah. Okay.
Drop a little, dilute it slightly. And it's much more prevalent with like bourbon drinking just because of the different proofing ranges. And sometimes you have like a really high proof that once you dilute it slightly, it does really give you a different experience. But tequilas typically stay at 80 proof. Some of them might jump up to like 90, 100, very rare. And I hope that one day the distillers start playing around more with the proofing, because that's something that bourbon does really well.
So, I have I do have a question actually. So, I myself, and I think it's because of the whiskey I enjoy, I prefer mezcal the most. I prefer that, I really enjoy that smokiness. And I know that you said that, like Patron does a mezcal style. Are there a lot of distilleries now that are doing the mezcal style to keep it pure, like you were saying, or is that strictly a Patron?
Patron is the only one that has, that I know, has put out a product like that. Now, there's other distilleries that will make, like Casamigos has a mezcal. So there's other distilleries that will make a mezcal product. Lobos Tequila has a mezcal. But yeah, from what I know, Patron is the only one to do like a mezcal style. It's still tequila, but with that smokiness presence. The Lagavulin, I know Don Julio's done some like barrel aging that gets that influence from like a Scotch. They did a Buchanan's edition, and they did a Lagavulin. I like the Lagavulin a little bit better, but yeah, the mezcal. So mezcal, if you want to think about it, remember we talked about how it used to be called mezcal de tequila. The umbrella is mezcal, or anything distilled from an agave, and then there's like little like niche products. So now we have sotol, which is an agave, a special type of agave distillate. Tequila, we have raicilla. So all these different branches from like the umbrella of mezcal. But yeah, it offers that kind of smoky and earthy flavor profile that a lot of drinkers really enjoy. So next time we'll be able to definitely feature some mezcal clase. We'll do the clase azul dinner with all the mezcals and tequilas. But yeah, the smoky is that one is done with a mesquite, so it leaves a really like acidic flavor profile.
And there are a lot of people that don't like it. It almost sounds like a putrid sting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can drink it, but I don't necessarily prefer it. Very strong, very acidic, but it's good, and it's high proof, which I like high proof. It's one of the few tequilas that is like over 100 proof. Not a lot of tequilas hit that, but hopefully as time progresses, as more products come out of the market, tequila starts playing around with proofing and giving us products that are like vintage and proofed. And I think it'll happen sooner rather than later. So.